Welcome to the PowerBack Live. Today's topic is on witnessing domestic violence at home. Today we are going to be talking about witnessing domestic violence at home, what you need to know, and talk about what your options are. So, my name is Carrie Spicer, and I'm the program manager for the PowerBack program. And PowerBack is a teen peer leadership program to educate and empower teens to end abusive relationships. And usually on our lives, we're going to be talking about dating abuse. But today, specifically, we are talking about domestic violence at home. And why are we talking about domestic violence at home? We are talking about domestic violence at home today because there are 15.5 million children in the U.S. that live with domestic violence in their home. So we know that this is happening in people's homes, and we want to be able to provide some information to help you. And so today, joining us is my colleague, Jesse. Hello, Jesse.
Hi, Carrie. Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Jesse. I'm a program assistant for the PowerBack program. And to get started, if you're watching this video and you think it's something you relate to and you feel safe enough, feel free to comment or ask a question. And if you're concerned about danger and want to reach out to us privately, you can send us a DM and we can definitely offer you our support. Also, before we get started in the details of everything, if you are positive this is something that you're experiencing at home, you may want to watch this alone, put your headphones on, and watch this at a later time in a more private setting.
Yes, thank you, Jesse, for that important information. So let's start and talk about domestic violence at home and what that looks like. So if domestic violence is going on in your home, you might see a pattern of these kinds of behaviors that are happening consistently or fairly often. So that could be verbal abuse that's going on in the home. So one partner verbally abusing the other, threats between partners, or if somebody's being physically hurt.
Yeah, or even one partner could be controlling the other, things like what they wear, how they spend their money, or where they're allowed to go and stuff like that. You might even notice one parent or guardian can't do anything without the permission of the other. So, or if you even notice that one person or one partner is afraid of the other, like afraid to speak up for themselves and things of that nature. Those are signs that violence it could be happening at the home.
Yes, definitely. And victims of domestic violence are basically adults that are in abusive relationships. So it could be adults that were dating or are dating, who are married or have been previously married.
Yeah, they could either be living together or have lived together, having a child in common, or expecting a child.
Yeah, now if this is something that you're seeing in your home, please note first and foremost that the abuse is never your fault. You are not to blame for anybody's abusive behavior.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely not. And it's also not your responsibility to stop the abuse, because that could put you in harm's way.
Yeah, we understand that it can be really frightening and scary to grow up in a home or be witnessing domestic violence in your house.
Yeah, right. It could definitely also feel isolating. It can make you feel alone. It could also be a very hard topic for people to open up and talk about.
Yeah, so we want you to know that there is help and support available to you, and we hope that some of this information that we're providing today can be the start of that helpful information for you.
Yeah, definitely. So domestic violence happens way more often than people think. It impacts a lot of people. So 1 in 4 women and 1 in 7 men are victims of domestic violence. We know that domestic violence can happen to anyone. It doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter what your race is, what your socioeconomic status is. This is an issue that really knows no boundaries at all.
Yeah, and if you're witnessing domestic violence, you should know that you're not alone. That this does happen to a lot of people.
Absolutely, 100%. So when it comes to domestic violence, everyone in the family is impacted by it, including children who are witnessing it. It could be traumatizing, and kids and teens, they can react in various ways when seeing this in their home. So we know that children and teens often react by taking sides. feeling like they have to choose a side in a fight and trying to protect the one who is being abused, or even taking the side of the abuser out of fear of being hurt themselves.
Yeah, and we would never recommend getting involved in a fight or obviously putting yourself in any kind of harm's way. But you may feel like you want to get involved, or you may feel like you have to take responsibility of the household or other siblings. And some other normal reactions or responses are to hide or just try to avoid the situation entirely. And or to run away, which we know can be really, really dangerous. We definitely don't want
Yeah,
you doing that.
absolutely. And DV can come with a mix of emotions like depression, confusion, fear, anxiety, guilt, all that stuff, or they could use aggression as an outlet. So some young people who witness domestic violence in the home, they're much more likely to be violent themselves due to learned behaviors that they're exposed to. So they may replicate abusive behaviors in other social relationships. However, though, I think this is something we definitely want to drive home, is that this isn't something that has to keep happening. Everyone, they have the power to break abuse and the cycle of abuse in their lives.
Yeah, for sure. And we know that this can be an extremely challenging situation. And a lot of the times youth can feel powerless or unable to help, or stuck, or blame themselves for what's happening, even though it's not their fault. And we know that this can impact somebody's physical and mental health as well. So if you're living in a home where you're witnessing violence, just know that that does not have to define you. What happens to you does not define you, or who you're going to be.
Absolutely, an incredible point, definitely. So there are local resources available to help people in domestic violence situations. So to locate these services, you can call the National Domestic Violence Hotline number, which is 1-800-799-7233, or you could visit the website, the hotline.org, or they have an online chat option, or you could also text START to 88788. And these local services, they specialize in helping people in domestic violence situations, and they could provide support for anonymous callers if that's something you wish to remain anonymous.
Yeah, and so when we talk about anonymous callers, that could be either somebody who's witnessing domestic violence. So if you're witnessing domestic violence in your home, you can call the hotline. It could be a friend of somebody who's witnessing domestic violence, or it could be the victim themselves calling to get help for domestic violence. Really, any kind of domestic violence situation, the hotline will be able to help you.
Yeah, definitely. Or they could even help you develop a safety plan, which is something to, put in place to help keep the victim safe, or provide counseling or legal advocacy if the situation calls for it.
Yeah, counseling, legal advocacy. They can also help get somebody into a safe place or a shelter, assist them in escaping the abusive relationship, and getting out of that as well.
Yeah, and there are usually statewide agencies that can help people get the support that they're looking for. So there are many avenues that one can take when they're looking for assistance in these situations.
Yeah, and a lot of those hotlines also can connect you with additional resources in the community that may be available as well. So you can always contact them for all of that information. And also, if you feel like you can call 911 or call the police, especially if somebody's in danger.
Yeah, or if you don't feel like you're safe enough to make that call, you can have, someone you trust, like a neighbor or someone, to make that call for you.
Yeah, that's a really good point as well. Yeah, definitely rely on other people too to help you through this situation. And at the very least, you can let people know that there are resources available for them that can help to keep them safe.
Yeah, something like we just talked about, the safety plan. Putting that in place is very crucial for a victim.
Yeah, and we know that this can be a really, really hard thing to go through and to talk about. So if this is happening to you, make sure that you have a safe outlet, somewhere to talk to as well. Someone who you can trust, whether that's a hotline, a counselor, a trusted adult, someone that can help to support you going through this kind of situation as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very important to have a safe and trusted outlet for, to get in touch with.
Also, if your parent or guardian has verbalized going to the police, you can tell them that it's really helpful if they have any kind of evidence of the abuse. So texts, pictures, voicemails, anything in writing to show that the abuse has been ongoing can really help them to get the support that they may need.
Yeah, that's definitely a very important point to make. And some other things to keep in mind is that the abuser, they are the expert in the situation. They have to be willing to, make the decision themselves to leave the relationship. It can and usually does take several times for someone to leave an abusive relationship. It often doesn't happen quickly, so patience is usually necessary.
Yes, it can be really, really difficult for the victim. And there's often a lot of complications that come with abusive relationships, specifically domestic violence situations. Not only is domestic violence one of those really rare crimes where the person that is doing the crime is someone that you love or have loved in the past or have trusted in such an intimate way. But they are also very, there's other complications of them being intertwined as well, like having not only by the relationship, but maybe marriage, right? So maybe they're legally intertwined or they're living together. So they have the same living situation, or they have children or family in common, or they're financially intertwined or financially dependent or interdependent on one another. And all of those factors kind of complicate the ability for someone to leave this type of relationship. Not even talking about how the abuser in particular tries to keep a victim in an abusive relationship. So they're doing a lot also to prevent and make it more difficult for a victim to leave the relationship as well. So there's a lot of complicating factors that that it's important to take into consideration when seeing this.
Yeah, definitely. That's a really good point. And I also think it's important to know that it may seem obvious, but domestic violence, it is a crime punishable by law. That includes physical or sexual abuse, threats, harassment, cyber harassment, holding someone against their will, stalking, coercion. So domestic violence, it is serious. Even for someone who's leaving the relationship, even though we do want to see that person getting out of it, it's crucial that they have a plan in place to, help keep them safe. If there are threats, weapons, physical violence, or when someone is pregnant, these situations in particular make the victim much more vulnerable.
Yeah, it's really important to know that information and just to be aware of that. If you need more information about domestic violence or need to get help, we highly recommend visiting the National Domestic Violence Hotline website, which is thehotline.org.
Mm-hmm. Or, you could even contact us if you have any questions at all.
Yeah, feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions about this live or any of the other topics that we talk about on our lives. Also, if you know of anyone who may need this information and may need to hear this information, please feel free to share this in a direct message with them so that they can hear this information as well. So we thank you very much for watching. We hope that this information was helpful to you, and we hope everybody stays safe. So I just want to give a shout out to all of those viewers that we have on. Thanks for watching us, and we hope everyone is well.
Thank you.
Have a good one. Take care, everybody.
Bye.